So let's start like this. I know you have a pretty good long history. I was thinking about you yesterday, actually. I was watching the television, and we already know what's on the television every day. And the first thing they said about the stuff that's going on in Afghanistan is the 10th Mountain Division was on the scene. That's what they said. I was like,
That's
I
right.
know a guy. I know a guy that used to be there. So why don't you talk a little bit about just your history, man? Like just what you did up to now, like what's led you to doing what you're doing today.
Well, yeah, I would say everything really changed in 1991. Went to basic training, met about 400 individuals. We were a unique group because when we went through basic training, we all knew we were going to go into the same unit together. Our cadre at the basic training in AIT were going to follow us up to this new division they're relaunching called 10th Mountain Division. That was really a game changer for me because from the moment you hit basic training through my 4 years in the service, I was with the same group of people, and you really bond. You really have that esprit de corps that everybody talks about. Um, I do feel like I am 10th Mountain Division. I am part of the Triple Deuce history. And that's another part, just kind of go along with your question. One of the things I noticed yesterday was a former battalion XO is now our Joint Chief of Staff.
Wow.
Both the battalion XO and the Joint Chief of Staff and the Secretary of Defense both commanded the 10th Mountain Division. It's just something of honor, something that I'm proud to be part of. Uh, and that's why really my career, I think, has always been getting into a path where I'm here to help veterans because I know what an important 4 years early in my life meant to me, and I want to make sure that transition is easy for everybody else. And it's exciting to be part of this industry. Exciting to be part of taking something that we know we've earned, but nobody's ever explained what it is, and turn it into reality and watch people move into a new home and start a whole new transition in their life.
Well, yeah. So you did 4 years in the army. I'm sure it took you all over the world. Like what places did you go while you were in? Where did you have the great pleasure to visit
we,
while you were in the service?
I did two combat tours, Somalia and in Haiti. Uh, but I'm telling you, the worst moment of my life, the most difficult mission I've ever had, was at the Mojave Desert. And the military, we have the NTC, the National Training Center, and it is a full out war simulated in the Mojave Desert of California. And nothing can prepare you better for the realities of what combat is going to be. In fact, combat is easy compared to what you have to go through at NTC. But yes, I've been to Somalia, I've been to Egypt, I've been to Haiti, Panama. We really, in those 4 years, just roller coaster around the globe. Uh, that was a recruiter like yourself came to me at the end of those 4 years and said, "Sean, you ready to reenlist? I think we're headed to Bosnia." And I said, "I think I'm going to try this thing called university now."
So what school did you go to?
Michigan State University.
One of those guys. Yeah. So what's your favorite team is Michigan State and whoever plays who?
Whoever plays the Michigan Wolverines.
Okay.
Except on bowl
Because
day. I always root for the Big Ten schools on bowl day.
yeah, but isn't it true in Michigan? Like, if you're a Michigan State fan, you're a fan of everybody. And I want to make sure I understand this. You're a fan of everybody that plays Michigan and Michigan State first and foremost. But Michigan fans are a fan of everybody that plays Ohio State,
That's correct.
and they love Michigan. So,
That's
like,
right.
that's crazy to me. Like,
Yeah,
they
they
don't.
they
Michigan
always
doesn't feel
call
the
us
same
their
hate
little
for you.
brother. No, they
Oh
call
yeah,
us the little brother. It's kind of that Texas A&M, UT. A lot of these
yeah.
different
Well,
two big schools in a state.
well,
Usually
Texas for a
one
long
is
time. Yeah, Texas claims for a long time that they're like the powerhouse in Texas, right? And what did they just do? They followed suit and have tried to come into the SEC. That's going to be very interesting for Texas to do that because they
Oh
have
yeah,
been built for years off of Big 12, right? Big guys with a lot of smash mouth football. They're going to step on those SEC fields and it's going to,
yeah,
it's going to blow them away. But,
yep. The
you
speed.
know,
Yep,
the
it's very
SEC is where
different
it's at,
football.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot of argument through that for sure. So you finished the army, you went to to Michigan State University, and then upon leaving there, so what was your career after that? What kind of industry did you work in? And all this leading up to what you're doing now, but what did you do?
yeah.
Uh, yeah.
One of the things I felt in my transition that was needed was I kind of put everything about the military on the back burner. I mean, yes, people who knew me knew I served, but it wasn't something I wore on my sleeve. And I went into Michigan State University and got out with a degree in education. I was going to be a history teacher. Economically, it just wasn't something that was going to work for us. So I ended up taking that education degree and moving into adult learning and worked with the Chrysler Group, which was merging at the time with Mercedes, and really just learned corporate America and how to help the adult learner achieve success. So that was really my focus for almost 20 years. Has always been in HR and HR development. What I found in the last 10 years, though, was again this pull, this urge to get back into being around people that I'm more comfortable with, and that's veterans. And I started really pushing forward with each company I belonged with, the veteran recruitment. So my one of my last companies I worked with, we were almost 25% veteran in the workshop, veterans in the field of operations, because I was going out and recruiting those transitioning and veterans to get into a civilian role, and I loved
So
it.
that's very, very, very odd. I know it's probably crazy to say that, but that's not
Mm,
something that you see every day. A lot of these guys that are getting out and they're retiring and they're moving on. There's a lot of people that find jobs, but there's a lot of people that don't necessarily find a job that I don't know, is what they would really, really want to do. There's not a lot of companies that, I mean, let's go here. A lot of companies say that they're veteran friendly, and to a certain extent they are. But the reality is, when it comes down to recruiting veterans versus recruiting, somebody else, uh, you don't speak the language. Like I've
mm-hmm,
talked with a few people on the podcast, and I've talked to a few people just in general. And the biggest thing that I've taken away from it, and my experience as well personally, is that I think a lot of civilian companies, when you see a military guy come in, whether they did 4 years, whether they did 20 years, whether they did 30, it doesn't matter. The mentality, the responsibility, and the growth as a person that you have to attain to serve in the military, because there's accountability. I can't go out drinking all night and then the next day call in and be like, oh, I'm sick, and then you just got to take that as its word. Like when we were in, if I went out
right.
drinking all night and then I tried to say I was sick, they'd be like, all right, well, bring me a note from medical saying that you need to
Yes.
stay home, and you can. So it taught you really fast that you can make a lot of poor decisions the night before about what you think is going to be fun, but you still have responsibilities to take care of. And so those guys know how to lead. So when they walk in the door at other companies and they interview, they go through the process. The thing that I hear all the time, the thing that a lot of my friends have heard, is you interviewed off the charts. Like you're amazing. They always like to tell veterans, though, this is my experience. You worked in HR a long time. You
Mm-hmm.
can confirm it or we can talk about it. You're overqualified. That's what they tell us. You're overqualified. And I'm thinking, I'm overqualified. Like, what does that mean that I am too qualified to do training. I'm too
Yep.
qualified to do leadership development. I am overqualified to be a recruiter, just different things. I'm overqualified to be a mechanic at your shop or whatever. There's a lot of them. There's a ton. Project management. You can just name all the industries. And they say we're overqualified. My belief in that is I'm not overqualified. The person interviewing me is my boss. And they're worried that I'm going to walk in the door and I'm going to, just from my what I think, I'm going to walk in the door and I'm going to create this environment of people that are motivated, they want to go to work, they want to get the job done, and that makes that person that I would be working for fearful that I'm going to take their job.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. One of the things that I needed to do in my roles in corporate America was interview the manager prior to having any interviewee come in. One of the things you always need to make sure is when that manager is getting ready to go interview, that they're seeing this position and where will that position be in a year and a half.
Hmm.
And and you're right on. One of the things that you would get is the ones that were fearful that they were going to hire their replacement. So they would purposefully take a lesser skilled, lesser qualified individual because they knew it wasn't going to be a threat to their role. Now, I think that
Yeah.
that really spoke volume and made us as an organization. And a strong HR team should have been able to say, we have a weakness in our leadership here. We're going to have to probably backfill both roles. Uh, but no, I think it's one of the things you have to build that commitment within a company. Saying you're veteran friendly and being veteran friendly are two different things. I agree
Yeah,
with
I
you.
agree. I agree. And I think that, here's the thing. We get taught in the military a ton that it's not about you. It's never about you. Like, if you want to be a great leader in the military and if you want to have a great career, this is personally for me, 22 and a half years in the Navy. I made it, pretty high compared to a lot of people. Like, I'm in what the Navy considers the 1.5% club. 1.5% of the people that ever serve in the military can make it to, the rank of senior chief, E8 in the Navy. It is a very prestigious thing to do, right?
Hmm.
But we don't look at it like that. I don't look at it like I'm in this exclusive group of people that aspire to get to that level, but we never looked at it that way. And what we were taught very early, and I mean, this is what I appreciate so much about my time in the service, is it's not about you. You don't matter. Any kind of accolade that you could ever attain for that, if that's the reason you're doing it, we don't need you. We don't want you. We don't want to put you in a position to affect the livelihood or the effectiveness of others if it's all for self gain. And so I think the difference in the civilian world is you have to really build a resume of yourself to excel, right? So I have to be really good and I have to have these skills and everything. The resume has to read that I am amazing. And I think that's another reason that veterans have a hard time getting hired, because we are taught it is not
Right.
about me. I did this
Yeah.
stuff, but my resume is going to read to you like an evaluation. Like in the Navy, we do evaluations. I'm sure they do them in the Army as well. But that evaluation, if it says that I am amazing, I am not going to get a good evaluation because it is not about what I did. It is about the accomplishment of the unit. It is about the accomplishment of the team. It's about
Yep.
how many people did I work with that got promoted? Like, who did I develop? Who did I like? Did I train my replacement? That's right. To your point, you just said,
Absolutely.
is I'm hiring my replacement. We are taught to train, mentor, and get our replacement because we know that if I can train my replacement, that means I can go serve somewhere else at a higher level, or even simply go take over another area that was, in a bad sense of the words, broken the way I took this one over, and build that one to be successful because I've trained someone to come in and continue the success that we've developed, right? So it's a very big team building thing. And so that was my experience. My resume read to, I trained these people, I did this stuff, I developed all these people, and everybody, like, it's like I wasn't selfish enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It,
Yes.
it's weird to me, but I think that's the deal with when you look civilian versus military for veterans trying to get a job, is they're not looking about themselves. And the reality is you can be told that as a military member getting out, or you can be told that in transition, and it's crazy. We just don't believe it. We're just like, there's no way that that's how it is. And then when you get out there and you see it like firsthand, like you'll have an idea and someone says it's not a good idea. And then like 3 days later, we're doing that
You're
idea and that person's claiming it as their own. And you're just kind of like, holy shit, man. I would have given you credit for all of it.
yeah.
I don't even need the credit for that. I don't care. I just think this is a better way for us to do this. and you just see it. I have to be amazing. So I have to show you that I'm great so that I can work myself into being irreplaceable and a single point of failure. Because if I can do that, my job is secure. And it, man, like we could be so much more productive if we work together, and it just doesn't happen very often.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have to have the mentality if you're going to be successful in the military of I want everybody around me to be better than me.
Yep.
That's just the reality. And
Oh, yeah.
whatever you can do to make them better, you're obviously making yourself better. To me, that's one and the same. But when you're
Hmm.
truly in a team, I want to know I got experts on the left and right of me. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Well, and it's
it is a
funny.
different mentality between civilian and military.
Yeah, for sure. And but it's funny because a lot of, I don't know, I'll look at stuff from leaders in industries, right? I've done real estate. Now we do mortgage lending. I've done recruiting. I've been to motivational conferences and all that stuff. The biggest message that they teach is you have to develop the people under you. You have to
Hmm.
make the people under you a successful person. You have to make them uh, that you have to make them out to be someone that can do what you can do. And the deal is you need to recreate yourself. You can't do it exactly, but you have to put trust in those people. They all preach it.
Correct.
Nobody does it.
No.
Well, I'm not going to say nobody does it, but there's a lot of people that don't do it. And especially in the time we're in right now, right? Like it's even worse. Um, Working from home, maybe going back to an office, trying, it's really, really hard for a lot of people. They just, it's a lot of people that don't know where the next paycheck's coming. They don't know, am I going to be secure, safe, or whatever. I think we're getting better there, though. I think it's starting to even out. But the ability of us as people to be ultra selfish in what we're trying to do holds us back.
Hmm.
It's crazy.
Yes. Yep.
But you need all kinds of people in the world. That's the other thing we learned in the military, right?
Oh yeah,
You, yep.
you're gonna have your individualists, but uh, no, it's not usually what you want to surround yourself with.
I mean, you're going to have them, and it's okay. We need everybody for the world to be the way that it is. It wouldn't be the world that we live in today if we didn't have all kinds of people. And that doesn't mean that, um, you know, uh, I don't know. That means we don't have success. That doesn't mean that we're not perfect, right? Because if we were perfect, we wouldn't have any problems. Problems make the world go round.
Yeah.
But it's that's why it's always good to follow what you believe in, right? So I've seen that you've done that, right?
Yeah, I
Learned about
mean,
corporate America, went to recruiting veterans, and now, um,
and now really what you and I have just sat here and talked about, and I think it's kind of the mantra of our whole group. It's to make sure we're leading with education,
yeah,
and there's nobody I want to surround myself with more often than having other veterans around. But it's not about necessarily getting the business. It's about teaching them about what did they learn, what are the eligibilities of this thing called a VA loan. I love that aspect of what we do. If we're out here educating and making people aware of things that we've earned, it's a win.
yeah. But I think about what you're saying for you specifically, Sean Ellis. It's more than that because you're not just focused on that. That might be what you do
Oh,
now on the team of people you work with, but you do more than that, man. You're involved in a lot of stuff. Like you're a
correct.
post commander at the VFW, which means, well, how many people are at your post?
We're over 500,
500
500
people that
members.
served in the military that they just need a place to go. Like I don't want to say you're in charge. It's not a good word to say, but you lead the charge to make sure that that is a place for people to come and be welcome. And so you're trying to build that.
Yep.
So it's not just VA home loans. I know that you guys do all kinds of stuff. Service dogs for people. You're looking at how do people get their benefits? How do people, funeral honors? Like there's so much stuff that happens up there. It's like everything that you do is centered around helping veterans. It's not just one thing. And I think it's important to emphasize that because I know personally that you're not going to walk around or even right now go, yeah, I do all this good stuff. Like you're not going to tell anybody.
Right.
But it's good for people to know that you're someone that they can talk to if they need anything, not just one thing.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's the American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. more often than not, most people think of, well, they march in a parade at Thanksgiving or Memorial Day or Veterans Day. They think of veterans as 1 or 2 days out of the year where, yeah, they carry the flag, they march. But you're right on. It's these Legion halls and these VFW halls that are the community centers for all veterans. And again, surrounding myself with people that are better than me. We have service officers that are very skilled in navigating the veteran affairs for benefits and medical treatment. And you have a lot of people that are coming in saying, I can't seem to get this thing through. I've had this injury in my back since I left the military, and it's getting worse. And we have the people at these organizations that walk them through that process to make sure they're getting treated for those symptoms. And then you have family members that come in and say, "My husband just passed, and he was receiving benefits, and I don't know if I'm still going to receive any benefits." And again, you have people that are skilled to say, "Hey, don't worry, we're going to take you through this process and make sure that you're being taken care of as a spouse of a veteran." Uh, but yeah, it's so much of what these these concrete buildings, these little structures do within each of these communities around the country that I think often go unnoticed. And it's one thing I really also hope that we're able to do is just educate people of where do they go find help. Well, obviously we would raise our hand on a VA loan, but it's using those service organizations that are there in their local community that can really help change that transition between where I am, what do I need, and getting with the people that know how to get me there.
Yeah. So here's the $1 million question. $1 million. Should a veteran ever pay someone to help them navigate the process that you just said, how to get medical treatment, making sure that I get the benefits I'm owed, making sure that I can, you know, figure out if
Absolutely
I
not.
get some service connected. But how many people
Oh, I know it.
have come into your post to talk to you guys to be like, well, these other guys have been paying them for however long and it's just going nowhere. And it is very unfortunate to see that there is a ton of people out there that will advertise a service to help a veteran. And the reality is that veterans are trusting. We're very trusting people. Like
Absolutely.
we are all trained to do a job. We know, the job that we've done, we're good at it. So if someone in the
Yes, if they
military were to
sell
tell them,
themselves as
yeah,
somebody of authority, then yes, they
we're going to trust in them
correct.
automatically, and it's going to
Yep.
happen.
But
And then
no,
what happens?
they should
It's taken advantage.
never be paying for any of these services.
Yep.
That is kind of the reason these are nonprofit organizations, and the reason we have for the veterans of foreign wars, we have access to Capitol Hill because they know we provide these services to veterans for free.
I always wonder
Never,
too, though,
never do
like
you charge.
how is it that we allow these people to do that? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, how is it that and the reality is this: we don't advertise the VFW and the American Legion, how to use your VA home loan, how to
Yep.
prepare for funeral honors, like all those benefits that are there to a veteran are not advertised or told to anyone while you're in, with good reason.
Hmm.
I don't need you to know how to get help when you get out. I need you to complete the mission that you're on. But I do believe that we can do a better job at advertising these services when people are transitioning out, whether you're retiring, whether you're separating, it doesn't matter. When you have to do a brief to get out of the military nowadays. It's a
Right.
whole week.
Yep.
3 days of that brief
It's still
is
tough. I
how
mean,
to submit. Well, 3 days is how to submit your VA claim. And
well,
people
when
are still leaving and paying someone to do it. So is that
I
working?
can speak as a guy who left the military at 22 years old. I didn't feel any pain. I didn't feel as if I was ever going to need any worries about my funeral benefits. I never, whatever they were going to tell
You're
me at that
22 years
transition.
old.
Correct. So, it's one of those things of making sure uh, we hit transition periods. And again, I just it's about marketing. It's about getting out the word of who is in your local VFW or American Legion, and making sure that they have access to the community, because they've got to spread these word that don't
Yeah,
be
for
paying
sure.
for services and come in and just learn more and more about what your benefits mean now at this point in your life. At 22, they didn't mean very much to me.
Yeah, for sure. And here's the thing: everybody that's on here right now, I think anyone that's listening to this, what we really need people to understand is that the VFW, the American Legion, the DAV, all these places that are community centers for veterans to go to, each have requirements for how you can join into them. Veterans of foreign wars, you have to be, in an era of service where you've earned a specific award or been in a certain situation to be in a combat zone or
Correct.
served during that time. The
Correct.
American Legion, you just simply have to have been in the military, right?
Correct.
But it's not just for people that are 55. It's not for
No.
retirees at like retirees 65 and above. And I think a lot of people think that that's the case because let's everything is judged off how things were in the past, right? In the past, you were really old, you went to the VFW, what would you go to do? Drink, play
Yeah, that's
bingo,
right.
and talk trash. That's what you went to do. And although there is still some of that happens at the VFW today, because that's part of the camaraderie and the community that veterans build. Veterans understand veterans, dude, right?
Hmm.
You can't walk out right now and go back and reminisce and tell people stories, like your grandkids, and they'll be like, how do you even think that was okay to see
Yeah.
that or do, you know what I mean? It's just one of those
Yes.
things that you had to do it. Like there was no choice. We make a lot of choices to do a lot of things that other people just normally wouldn't do, or other people would think is insane. Like, I can't believe that you would actually volunteer to do
Yep.
that. And, at the end of the day, that's what makes us different than them. And that's all fine. But that's where the VFW comes in. You don't have to be old. You can be young. It would probably benefit the VFW and the American Legion, the DAV, for younger guys to become a part of these organizations. Because if we could get more people that were even active duty people can join, they don't know that.
Correct.
But if you had some active duty guys that joined, sure, they would move posts and they would go to different places, but the reality would be this: they would be able to start telling other active duty people that there are places for you to get help. Like, just because you're active duty doesn't mean you can't walk into a VFW and go, I need some help with this medical service, or I need to talk to
Absolutely.
somebody because I'm having, anxiety problems or issues. They have a lot of training and resources for veterans or active duty members, I should say, in the service for like suicide hotlines and, you know,
Correct.
chaplains and all that stuff, right? But here's the reality:
Absolutely.
if I am on active duty and I go see the chaplain, or if I go ask for help, right? A lot of times military guys look at that as, I'm going to be judged, I'm not going to excel, and I'm going to be labeled as a problem. Well, here's a newsflash for you. You walk into a VFW, you get to go in there and talk to someone that's got life experience, right? Someone that has been through it and done it, and they're never going to judge who or what you are. They're going to help you. And it's one of those, it's a safe place. It's a safe
Absolutely.
space to go talk to someone.
Yep.
And I just don't think it's advertised like that, like it should be.
Right. I mean, and our chaplain at my local VFW was a chaplain in the military. So you are speaking to somebody who, as if you were still on post, he's got all of that skill set. But like you said, then he's got another 20 years of life experiences beyond that. And just absolutely a great place for current military members to know that they have a safe house to come to. And that's what
Yeah.
I've always said about it. These brick and mortar establishments from the Legion and the VFW, they exist to be that community center for those that are wearing or have worn the uniform.
Yep. No, it's good. And it's good to do stuff like this so that people know what's out there. Like, for instance, our local post in Tomball, Texas, is for a while now been working on a
Yeah.
project to honor veterans, right, that have gone and served in wars, and something that we can do to let people come see how proud we are of the service that people, really the heroes before us, have gone through, done. Some paid the ultimate sacrifice, some made it through, some aren't here with us still today, but they still want to be remembered and memorialized, right? Meaning that we want to thank and recognize the service that they gave to our country. So I know that right now we're working on a war memorial, right?
Absolutely.
How long has that been going on?
It's going on. It's really its third year. We had a little hiatus during this whole pandemic, but
Hmm.
yeah, we definitely getting our traction back under our feet and getting this thing moving again. Because yeah, like you said, it's a great place to remember for veterans, but it's also a great place for the family and kids to come out and see just the different monuments that are out there looking from World War One, World War Two, Korea, and it really gives them a whole idea of all the different conflicts their father, their grandfather, their great aunts and uncles have all participated in.
Yeah, it kind of gives you an appreciation for what people had to go through to kind of keep us where we're at today. And I think that, it's important to do that. I think it helps. I mean, it helps with the current situation that we're in now. There's so much uncertainty in the world. There's so much, should we be doing this or should we be doing that? Everybody has an opinion, but what a lot of people, sometimes they forget is that there's people that volunteered to make sure that, people have the right to have free speech, to
Yep.
carry guns, to do all these things. Like, we don't have these freedoms just because. Like, we have to protect them. And so there's a lot of people that went before us and did that. And it's just good to recognize the sacrifice they've made, and what better way to do it than the war memorial. And I know that it's been a while that's been trying to get off the ground, and so that's part of, what we're talking about today. um, I'm also involved in a real estate team in the Houston area, Anchor Up Realty Group, and what they're going to do is they've already launched it. It's on Facebook now. They have a web page for it. Um, we've been in communication with the VFW Post in Tomball, and we're going to work together to try to raise some money for it this year. It's going to be our first annual virtual walk
Hmm.
slash run. It's a memorial run, and so what we're trying to do is just get as many people as we can to just sign up, take a 3 mile walk or take a 3 mile run. So many people are exercising today. Why not donate a little bit of money? You get a t-shirt, you get a commemorative coin, and all the proceeds from the race go to the VFW Post so that we can, maybe donate money to cut the cost down of bricks for some of these people that maybe they can't afford the cost of a brick, and we can give them a discount on the brick so that way they can still remember their
Right.
grandfather, their great grandfather, or in some cases their dad, their brother,
Yes.
their sisters, their sons, their daughters. You know what I mean? So if we can give them an opportunity to make sure that they are remembered in a proper and respectful manner, we're just trying to raise money to do it, and also just trying to bring awareness to that. We're trying to create something there locally in Harris County, Texas, where people can just come see what you said, the monuments and the different eras that were out there, and you get a picture of uh, you know just what people have gone through and what they've done. I mean, if you think about it right now, our greatest generation, I mean, there is very few people left from that greatest generation, and that's the generation that set the tone for how we grew and how we became such a powerful nation. Like these guys, I mean, it was service before self in that generation, 100%.
Absolutely.
None of those people ever, they cared about the country and their family more than they ever cared about themselves, and they were willing to go do the things that they needed to do to make sure that America stayed America. We don't get to talk to very many of those people anymore,
No.
and we don't get to hear their stories. They don't get to tell us what it's like. They're, I mean, you can watch a documentary, right, and it will give you a picture of what it was, but a documentary still is in the interpretation or the eyes of the person that's making it, right?
Yes. It's
So
it's
much
not the
different.
same as getting it live from that individual. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember right when I got to Houston as a recruiter in the Navy, my master chief at the time came up to everybody in the chief's mess, our little area where we do business and help make sure that things are running right. And he said, "Hey, I need some volunteers." We already know what that means in the military. So we're like, what kind of work do we need to do? They're like, "No, no work, man." One of our retired chiefs showed me an obituary today for a World War II veteran that over in Shiner, Texas. Like he passed away. They're doing a funeral, and people from the local community. One of the guys is a retired chief. This guy was a chief petty officer in the Navy, and he said, "Hey, we would just like to see some active duty chief petty officers attend the service, so that his family can see what it meant to be a chief petty officer, right? Like just
Yeah.
like what it means to be 10th Mountain, what it means to
Yes.
be,
Yep.
1st Cavalry Division, what it means to be Marine Corps Recon, all these things. It's a special thing to do that." And so we were like, "Cool, we'll go." So my mass chief got like 6 of
Yeah.
us to go. So we're like, "Cool, let's do it." We drive all the way down, right? We park in front of the church. We get out of the car. The retired guy wearing his whites, just like he would just got out the Navy yesterday, right? Walks up and goes, "I'm so glad you guys are here. We need to go practice." I was like, "Practice for what?" So our Master Chief turned around and he was like, "Oh, I think I forgot to tell you guys." So we were pallbearers. We didn't know. We had no idea. Like, I guess they couldn't find the reserve centers were a little too far from the area, from where Shiner is compared to where the reserve centers are, or they just couldn't get it in. The local VFW did the honors detail, but they didn't have pallbearers. So we
Mhm.
show up to this thing. I have no idea who anybody is. Don't nothing. We're like, all right, cool. We'll just do it. We did it. We'll do it. We'll carry it out. We'll carry it to the site. It's just something that you do. Like it was in the moment, right? As a human being, we're like, this guy just did. Oh my God. We're like, we're never going anywhere with you ever again. But I will tell you, sitting in that church during the service, and the officiant of the service read through, and this guy kind of made a his own obituary. Like he had wrote some stuff that he wanted people to know about him when he passed away, and he had done it a few years before, right?
Mhm.
He drank beer every day until the day he died. He said that's what kept him alive so long. The story behind that was in what the preacher wrote, was like, hey, uh, he was in World War II. This gentleman was in Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked, and he was there when they were bombing the air hangars and got blown. Like he was like danger close. The dude had shrapnel in his body from Pearl Harbor to the day he died. Like
Absolutely.
he got blown, almost blown up there. And in this writing, the guy was like, I just remember being, and this is, and all this leads to what we were like, there's a point to it of where we are today versus then. This guy said he walked into the medical clinic and there was guys that were missing legs. There was guys that were, you knew they were going to die, right? You just knew it. And this guy was like, I just had some metal in my body. Like I could still walk and I could still hear and I could still see. So I was pretty much like, can you patch this up? I got to go back.
Mhm.
Like he didn't want to sit there and
Nope.
wait at all, right? Like he got back into it. So going back to the beer, he was like flying at some point during World War II, going somewhere, I don't know, and like the plane was carrying beer, and they got shot down. So this dude was in a bombing. He'd been shot out of the sky into the ocean. What he survived floating on a crate
Of beer.
of beer. So he was like, that kept me alive. So that's a sign. He told his wife for the rest of his days, like, I got to drink a beer a day. I have to. It saved my life. It's keeping me alive. You know what I mean? But it's the humor that you hear behind that. And the dude had went through so much, shot down a couple times. He was in a bombing. We have a lot of men and women that are doing the same thing today. But what I don't think we do is appreciate the sacrifice that they make as much as we appreciate those people. Like we appreciate them a lot more. And I think the people that are doing it today are just as willing to say, there's nothing wrong with me. I got to go back out there. And it's just funny how we look at it. It's just a
Mhm.
difference. I think we need to get back to appreciating what the military does for our country rather than trying to decide why everything is so wrong.
Absolutely. Yep. And you're
It's a
seeing it
funny
a lot
story.
right now with Afghanistan.
Yep.
You got a lot of soldiers that had served and felt as if we've done a lot of good there. It's a shame to see what's happening in the last couple days, but it's a good time to remind ourselves, and we've got to reach out to those that served in Afghanistan and just say thank you. Uh, can't look at what's happening today and say this is a result of what they were doing in their time of service, because it's not. But it's easy for them to just see, yeah, here I am as a veteran of what took place in Haiti, and we restored democracy was our mission there, and the country's completely collapsed. They just assassinated the president, and earthquakes and tropical storms are hitting it. It's probably as bad, if not worse off than it was when I left. But we have got to remember that we did our mission and we were successful in our mission, and we just need to be reminded to be proud of what we accomplished during our missions.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the other reason to do this race this year, right? Like this year we just wanted to make sure that the Anchor Up team was we were adamant. We need to support a veteran charity, and talking with you a couple weeks ago, knowing that you guys are trying to get this thing off the ground, you're trying to build it, and it's something that's
Correct.
going to honor those heroes and just appreciate what they've done.
Yeah,
Sacrifice, no sacrifice, they're still here today. They still did something. We still want to recognize what they've done. It's just a good thing to do. It's a good thing to recognize the people that have given us the ability to live the way we live today. Just
absolutely.
100%. And so, easy. Any proceeds go to it. Like I said, we've got the web page. It's on Facebook right now. You can see the group. It's out there. If anybody wants to walk or run a 3 mile and just donate to a cause, it's a great thing to do. And then we're also gonna host uh, the VA lending team that does all the education on home loans is going to sponsor a 9/11 cornhole tournament out at the VFW Post. So probably around the first part of September, we're going to launch out a sign up for that and see how many teams want to come out and play
Great.
some cornhole fellowship on
Yeah,
9/11. Veterans getting around each other to talk and tell stories,
absolutely.
laugh at stories that nobody else is going to think is funny, and be able to be a part of that crowd and feel the support that you always felt before. It's just gonna be
Yeah,
a good thing.
yeah. Back around the people you want to be around.
For sure. For sure, it's gonna be good times. So what is you have any stories you want to tell, crazy stories, anything that you've seen that I don't know, it's just you're not gonna believe this. How many times did you ever go, you ain't gonna believe this? you
Uh,
know
yes. Uh, and you know what? That's what we meet about on our Friday nights, and when we sit back and get a chance just to unload and you share those stories. Yeah, there's been several. Um, you know, some of the things that, like you say, you laugh at that other people might not find funny. That's our coping mechanism. So the reason we do that, the reason we share these stories and we laugh at each other, it's that coping mechanism to say it's okay that you went through this, and it's okay that you're now laughing and you're with people that will laugh with you. Uh, that's what makes it all real. It's just why you have to be around other veterans. So
Oh, for sure, man. When you tell the stories, and anytime, I'm telling you now, anytime I'm around any of my veteran buddies, or when I was active duty around people, anytime I heard you are not going to believe this, I don't care what I was doing. I was like, done. I want to hear. Tell me right now, because I want to not believe it. But the reality is, I always would go, oh, that sounds about right. That
yeah,
sounds like it would happen. I can see that happening. And it just was, there's not very much you can tell me that I wouldn't believe. Like you've seen everything. It's just we've had the pleasure of traveling the world and seeing how so many different cultures do things. There's not much that we haven't seen that it would not shock you.
oh yeah.
It's
One
funny
of my
stuff.
favorite stories is my hero moment when we went into Haiti. I was on the first wave of helicopters, being the radio operator for my company commander at the time. He had me jump off the helicopter first. And I know this is coming. I'm excited. I'm going to be the first two legs that land into Haiti. I know it. I'm a hero. Well, I get off the helicopter, I jump down, and I sink to my knees in wet, boggy mud, and I am stuck. I can't move. Helicopter, and I'm still have my radio, and I tell the team it's a bog, it's mud. The helicopter lifts back up, goes about 300 yards in front of us, and then everybody unloads and they start doing the mission. And I'm stuck in mud. My hero moment just went to absolute garbage because I couldn't move. I had to roll into the mud and low crawl out of there just
Well,
to get
here's
caught up to
here's the
my
first
team. So
question. I'm sure the first question your company commander was like, "Well, the signal sounds good, so you might just want to stand there then if you're stuck. It's a good antenna."
yes, that's right.
Yeah, you
No, he
you
when I
picked the
finally
right
caught up
spot.
to them, yeah, I caught up to them. He's like, "Where you been?"
Yeah, right. You've been
Uh,
messing around. Oh,
yes.
totally. You saw me jump.
Uh,
But isn't it funny that in any high pressure situation or any like anything that's high pressure, anything that is super super dangerous, like you could come up to somebody in the middle of like imminent death, and they'd be like, "You've been messing around.
yeah.
Where were you at?" And you're like, "What are you talking
Yes.
about?"
Yep.
It's those moments of most people would call it a lack of care or awareness to the situation. The reality is it's different. There's
Yes.
very much an awareness. So if I don't crack a joke right now,
Yep.
I don't know
Yeah.
if we're gonna get through it.
People's stress
Yeah.
might go up. It is
Yeah, yeah,
a
for sure. But when that one
fantastic.
guy walks up and you go, "Where have you been?" Like,
Yep.
"Oh, hey, welcome, Sean.
I'm
Thanks
glad.
for
I'm
coming up.
glad you showed up.
Showed up when we're at the end. You want to pull it in the driveway?" You know?
Yep.
But you're walking around full of mud and you're all up. You're like, "What were you doing? Playing around? Like, what? How'd you get so dirty?" He was like, "Really, dude?"
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. So
That's hilarious.
those are those things you just enjoy being able to share and know that the other people have so similar stories. It's different locations, maybe
Yeah.
different conflicts, but the situations are very similar, and we just bond that way.
So here's the difference, right? How many times did anybody see mud or anything like that after and they'd be like, "Ellis, there's mud over there. You don't
That's
need to
right.
walk over there. We don't need you to get stuck," right? Like it
Yep.
becomes like a like, everybody walking be like, "Hey, don't do an Ellis. There's mud
Yep.
over there." You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
It's
You're gonna
like
get stuck.
you go, "Damn." And when you jumped, I guarantee when you jumped and you hit that mud, you immediately went, "Oh man."
Yes.
I had to be that guy. Like, yeah, my hero moment is what not to do when you jump out of a helicopter. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yep. Yep.
They
That's
got
what
you,
it's
dude,
all
for
about.
sure.
But it
So
also
what's
keeps your head in
the
the game.
yeah, it does, for sure. So what's the future for you? Next 6 months, next year, next 2 years, what kind of things are you trying to do? Tell us about what your vision of the future is for you.
Yeah. I think this pandemic is not over. I think there's going to be some more transition that we're going through as a country and local community. One of the things I want to make sure of is we're stepping up as veterans and really being seen and heard. So one of the things that we're doing in Harris County, Texas, just across the county, is making sure we're going to all of our civic events. We're showing up in our funny little caps, and we're making sure that we're there when the commissioners are debating. We're there when the mayors are debating. We're there at our local city council. I think we sat back kind of quietly and just focused in on our own little needs and all throughout Harris County, each of our own little communities, rather than saying it's time we step up and we be seen and we be heard. Because veterans are a huge part of our community, especially in Texas, one of the largest communities of veterans in the country. And I think it's important that they remember us and know that we have opinions and there's expectations that we have as veterans that we want our community to adhere to.
For
But
sure.
I think it's big.
Nice, man. So I think that that's a good point. The biggest thing that I remember, to your point that you just said there, to be present and to be available when these city councilmen or mayors or committeemen or congressmen or whoever is talking about like how things are going to work and rules to pass, right? The biggest thing that we used to tell everybody in the military, right? If somebody came up to you complaining, or if they came up to me anyway, they'd come up to me and they'd complain, like, this isn't fair. They're not doing this right. This isn't how it should be done. The first question I asked that person, what would you do different? 9 times out of 10, they'd be like, I don't know, but they're just not doing it right. Well,
Hmm.
that's great. I'm glad that you think they're not doing it right. How about you tell me how they could do it better? Like, if you've taken this much time to say that it's jacked up,
Correct.
you haven't thought about a better way to do it, or you just want to be like everybody else. You want to complain because you don't want to do it, or you think it's too hard to do it that way, or it, you're above doing it that way. I don't know what it is, but in the amount of time that you stood here and complained to me, we could have got the job done, or we could have found a different solution, right? So the biggest thing I used to push to people was, don't just come at me with a problem, just come at me with a solution to the problem. Tell me what we can do to make it better, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think right now what you see is a lot of, this is not right. This
Yep.
is
Pointing the
BS.
fingers and complaining. Yep.
Absolutely. And so the more that you point fingers without giving solutions, and I'm going to tell you right now, 100% transparency. I'm part of that problem a lot. A lot. I would sit in my house, I would watch the TV,
Hmm.
and I complain and I say that it's dumb and I don't agree with things that people are doing. Uh, Most of the time, people are like, here he goes again. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
I'm just complaining. And I think we need to find a way. And I think through organizations like the VFW and the American Legion, and you have a voice. You can you can get together there and just express what you think is right or wrong or indifferent, and just have an ability to talk about what you think could be done better. I think that we don't do that enough. I think all we like to do nowadays is come with what a problem is. This, you did this wrong.
Hmm.
But I've never, like, you don't hear a lot of people saying, what's the solution? A lot of the times the solution to problems is, this is how you have to do it because this is the only way to do it. But it's not done with any kind of research or proof behind it. Do it this way, do it that
Right.
way. And I think what a lot of people see nowadays is, because everything changes so often, here's the problem, this is what you're going to do to fix it, and someone's going to come out and say that doesn't work, and then everybody's going to jump on it and be like, you messed it up. We should really be working together to find a solution. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yep.
We're just not built that way. Again, it goes back to that, if I can create a problem that only I can fix, job security. You
That's
have
right.
to listen to me. You have to uh, believe in me. You have to just follow what I'm saying, because I'm the only person that can fix your problem. And I don't think it works that way all the time. So yeah, being more involved, it's a good thing. So
Absolutely.
for the VFW Post, is there any event other than our 9/11 event coming up? Is there anything else that's coming up in the future that you want to make people aware of, that they could support, that they could just be on the lookout for?
Yeah. I we have our calendar, so there's things going on about 5 days out of the week. But always keep us in mind. November 11th, and I probably should say November 10th for our Marine Corps birthday. They do the big gala ball up at Tomball. But then, of course, November 11th is Veterans Day, and what we do on Veterans Day is we bring out our civic leaders and guest speakers. We bring in uh, I'll call them guests that are downtown at the VA hospital. They're going through some major surgeries, but it's a good chance for them to escape for the day, come up, uh, listen to guest speakers, and just be around other veterans. And we serve them food, and just have a good time. So Veterans Day is always a big day at the VFW because it's our day. We often talk about people want to thank us for our service on Memorial Day. That's not the day to thank me for my service.
Yeah,
Thank
because
me for
that's
my service on Veterans
yeah.
Day.
Memorial Day is the day that we should remember. A lot of
Correct.
people get that mixed, but Memorial Day is just an excuse to have a 3-day weekend, bro.
Yes.
I
Yes.
get some time off. I get to barbecue, and then you get to walk around to all. But you know what's crazy is if you think about. So I want you to think about this. We just talked about solutions, problems. Everybody's looking for the problem. And all the years that I've been in the military, all the years that my dad was in the military, and all the years that I've been out of the military, I've never seen a veteran go up to somebody that says, "Thank you for your service on Memorial Day," and lose their you know what.
Nope.
You know what they always do? They're like, "Well, I appreciate that." But just also remember that today is where we remember the
It's
people that made the
the
sacrifice to
day
give
to
us the freedom that we
Yep.
have. All we do is we say, "I appreciate that," but we also want to make sure that we recognize the people that went before. Not, I can't believe you would say that to me. I'm not dead. Like in the world today, you could just, I'm not dead. What are you trying to say? I should be dead. Like people do that. But then when it comes to Veterans Day, it's the same thing. But I've never seen anybody take it wrong, right?
No.
Which is very amazing for the world that we live in today. Everything can be taken so wrong. Everything can be taken out of context all the time. But I've never seen a veteran take that out of context, right? Even though a lot of people take it out of context. I mean, there's people on Facebook all the time, Memorial Day or Twitter or Instagram, or
Hmm.
you watch all of these shows, sports, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, oh, you need to thank a veteran for their service on Memorial Day. And it's, no.
Nope.
I mean, we appreciate that. We do. But how about we do some remembrance on Memorial Day? Remember the fallen. We need to reach out to Gold Star families. We need to reach out to,
Correct.
just those organizations that help people that had service members that paid the ultimate sacrifice, and the Wounded Warrior Project, the Lone Survivor Foundation. These guys help people whose family member is not here to see their kids grow up, is not here to make sure their family is taken care of. There's a lot of organizations that help those families. I would hope that in the future we can give some recognition to that. And then when it comes to Veterans Day, right? You can thank me for my service all you want. But Texas is unique
Absolutely.
anyway. We live in Texas. Everybody thanks you for your service in Texas. It's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy to see
That's
the
why it's a
difference,
great
though.
community for veterans.
Yeah, but it's crazy to see the difference. You can go
Yep.
into other states, and it's just another thing. Here, like this is the one state that if things go crazy,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be okay.
Yep. We'll make it through.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So yeah, it's been great.